Do you have tropes that you really love and also tropes that you really hate? I do, and in this video today, I'm gonna rank some of the most common horror tropes and share with you what my favorite tropes are and which tropes I would literally burn if I had to find kindling for a fire. For those of you who are new to my channel, hello, welcome. My name is Claire Fraze, and I'm an award-winning young adult author who makes videos on this channel sharing the actionable writing tips that helped me make my writing better. I make videos on things like plot structure, different plot structures explained, different points in plot structure explained, how to write unique character voices, how to develop your characters, you know, general writing stuff. And today I wanted to make kind of a fun, more casual video about tropes, because I like talking about tropes, and tropes are fun. I made a cool little nifty tier list maker on tiermaker.com just for the purposes of this video, and I made cute little graphics to go along with it and had way too much fun with it this morning. So yeah, let's get started. Also, if you're interested in doing this tier list that I made, I've put the link to it in the description of this video. Fill it out yourself, and I'm pretty sure that I can see other people who have filled it out or see what their rankings are. I'm not 100% sure, but you know, if I can't, share what your favorite tropes are and what your least favorite tropes are in the comment section below. Okay, so as you can see, I've made this little handy dandy tier maker thing, and I have 5 categories that I'm gonna put these tropes in, which are auto buy, love it, enjoy it, will still read the book, and hate it, won't read. There are some in here where if this trope is in the book, I will not read the book for reasons that I will explain in this video, but then there are also some tropes that I absolutely love. I haven't planned out this video, I have opinions on most of these tropes, so some of these might be a little bit rambly, but you know, we'll see. But I think, you know, I'm just gonna go in order of all of these tropes. Aren't the graphics so cute? I'm really kind of obsessed with them. All right, so the first trope that we have here is aliens. I honestly can't say that I've read too many books with aliens in them. I'm still counting movies in this, horror movies and TV shows and books, and talking about horror media as a whole. I'm not exactly sure what I would say about aliens. I'll say that I like alien possession, but UFO kind of alien horror doesn't really feel like horror to me. It feels more like sci-fi, or kind of scary sci-fi, unless it's The Thing, or some sort of creepy alien substance that possesses people. Oh, there are some other tropes that I haven't included, like possession, but oh well, that will be a video for next time. I'd say that I don't hate aliens. I think if it were executed well, I would still read an alien book, but I don't really love it. It would have to be a really good alien book in order for me to consider it horror and actually be scared by it. Okay, so now we have evil family. The biggest example of evil family that I could think of off the top of my head were the family from Us, because you know, you have the red family that attacks kind of the real world family, and then there's also the creepy family from Get Out, where the entire family is in on the creepy plot. I love creepy family horror. I think it's so freaking cool, and it gets me so good. The entire plot of Us was absolutely terrifying to me. Just the idea of a family exactly like yours, with the kind of similar physical abilities that you do, trying to kill you and go after you. So creepy. I honestly, if I knew there would be an evil family in it, I might have to put this in auto buy. I think I'm gonna put that in auto buy. Yeah, and I stand by that decision. All right, so we have the final girl. Final girl, this is a pretty controversial trope, and I will say that final girls that are, because it's pretty common in a lot of horror to have a final girl. I think because it's such a commonly done trope that if it were just done in the normal way, I wouldn't be absolutely floored by it. But if there was a twist on it somehow, or if it wasn't your normal final girl, I would really like it. I'm thinking of that movie Happy Death Day, I don't know if that would be considered a final girl, but it's like the girl, it's like the movie that's Groundhog Day with murder, like the girl that keeps waking up every morning on the day that she's going to be murdered. And she's kind of a final girl because she's always, I mean, I don't know if she's necessarily like the last one standing because she dies every day, but I don't know if it's a twist on the final girl, I'll say it was good. If it's just a normal final girl, I mean, I don't know. I kind of still enjoy final girls. I'm kind of a sucker for final girls in fiction. I'm not going to say auto-buy, but I would say love it. I think if I knew that there would be a final girl at the end, I don't know if I would like automatically buy it. But that's also, I mean, it would be a bit of a spoiler if you knew that who the final girl was in the blurb or whatever when you're shopping for books. All right, lab accidents. I love lab accidents in fiction. I'm thinking about like Stranger Things and how like the monster in Stranger Things gets out of the lab, or, you know, like creepy things that they're experimenting on are able to get out into the real world. I will read a book just on that premise. I have to say auto-buy for lab accidents. I don't know. I'm kind of enjoying doing this because I'm not thinking too hard about where I'm ranking all of these things, but it is helpful for me to kind of isolate the tropes that I'm gravitating toward just subconsciously, because like maybe I can incorporate these into future books of mine. Yeah, side note also, I'm starting to think of tropes that I didn't include in this list, like the possession trope. If I had included the possession trope, I would probably put that on maybe will still read. I don't really like possession fiction. Like, I don't know, the whole, I don't remember which one I'm thinking of, but like when there's, you know, the kid with the demonic possession, The Exorcist. I don't really like the exorcism stuff or all the satanic kind of demon inside of the child stuff. That doesn't really do it for me very much. I don't really like it. I mean, I don't like hate it. I honestly actually probably wouldn't read it if I saw that it was about possession. If I was browsing at a bookstore, I probably wouldn't read it. So I'd actually honestly probably put that in hate it won't read. But I don't know. I guess if it was executed well, I'd still read it. If it was only about possession, I wouldn't read it. But if there was other stuff involved, then maybe. Like, this isn't really a possession book, but I don't know if anyone has read The Fifth Child by someone whose name I'm forgetting and will proceed to look up very quickly. The Fifth Child by Doris Lessing was fantastic, and I thought it was so well done. It's not really possession, but there is a sequence. It's about this couple and how their life changes when their fifth child is born, and their fifth child is just kind of... My memory's a little hazy. It's been a while since I read this story, but I'm pretty sure that there was some sort of correlation between the child having some sort of like demonic possession or the child being like some sort of demon. And I just remember the pregnancy scenes and descriptions being really vivid. Like this child was like a monster eating this woman alive. And that kind of was like a sort of possession, even though it wasn't your traditional possession that would have to be exorcised. I don't know, but that was an interesting take on that concept. Okay, so hellhounds. I'm a huge dog person. I read Cujo and was like, oh, he's just a little misunderstood. Like, I don't really get scared by dogs. So if this is like a horror book based on a dog that is evil, I honestly don't want to read it because I love dogs. I love having warm and fuzzy associations with dogs, not hellhound associations with dogs. So I'm going to put that in hate it won't read. Moving on to painful transformations. Like, this in my mind is like some human getting possessed by the creepy alien substance and morphing into a different version of themselves, or getting taken over by something and like having that be like super gory and painful, and or like maybe there's a witch and they're putting a spell on someone and their body goes through some sort of creepy transformation. I am so terrified by body horror, and like mutilations to people's bodies really scare me. When it's done in like a horror sense, so like slasher, like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, like the skinning and like the Silence of the Lambs stuff was really gross to me. So painful transformations really scare me. If I know that a horror book is gonna have that in it, I honestly, I don't know if I'd auto-buy. Well, actually, yeah, I'm probably gonna put this in auto-buy. I have a lot of auto-buys I'm seeing. Maybe I'll just put it in love it. Yeah, I'll put it in love it for now so that I'm not completely dominated by auto-buys. I'm a bit of a 0 to 100 person. I either really love it or really hate it. So I'm going to try to keep this a little bit more balanced in today's video. All right, let's see. We have corn mazes. Corn mazes? I love corn mazes. I am such a sucker for fiction that happens in corn mazes. I have a lot of corn mazes in my own fiction, and especially in the book that I'm working on right now. I think that obviously like the whole scary factor in the corn is that like, you know, you can't, like it all looks the same. It's easy to get lost in the corn. If it's a maze, you don't know where you're going and there could be stuff jumping out at you at any time and you can't see over the maze. So if a corn maze is coupled with like another creepy factor or something chasing you through the corn, I'm all over it and absolutely love it. So I'm gonna put it for love it, but I won't say that corn mazes are an auto buy for me because I won't buy something just because it has a corn maze. All right, so mad scientist. I can't deal with mad scientists that do experiments in horror. Like Human Centipede, I've never been able to watch that movie just because even the trailer like has given me nightmares. Just the concept, I don't even need to watch the trailer. Just thinking about it grosses me out and gives me nightmares. I can't deal with like the body horror experimentation, like people trapped in this like hospital with this creepy guy like mutilating their bodies and causing them pain when they have no power. Like, oh, I hate it. I can't do it. I can't read it. I won't read it. No, thank you. Even when it's done well, I can't read it. Like, if that's your thing, great, but I can't. I'm sorry. Unless it's like the cool mad scientist, like the one in Back to the Future, but like we're talking about horror tropes today, and that Back to the Future is not a horror movie. So unless you count like, you know, making out with your mom as horrific, which I'm sure many of us do. Moving on. Okay, so the next trope that I have to talk about on this list are killer clowns. While I do like killer clowns and like their historical connection to serial killers and stuff, I won't say that this is an auto buy and I don't necessarily love them. Like, I will enjoy a book with a killer clown in it. Like American Horror Story Freak Show had a killer clown and that really, really scared me. But I wouldn't say that I love this as a trope, so I think this is gonna be my first enjoy it trope. If it's done in a new way, I think I'd enjoy it a little bit more. I just like killer clowns are pretty stereotypical. Like a lot of people are scared of clowns and I feel like, you know, I don't know. You expect it. If there's a new twist on it or something super fresh, then I think I'd enjoy it more. But I have yet to see that in a book or a movie or a TV show. All right, next is Small Town Secrets. I love Small Town Secrets. This is one of my favorite thriller tropes. First movie that I'm thinking of when I think about Small Town Secrets is the Stepford Wives. Like that is such an effectively done Small Town Secrets because it's like this couple moves into the town and they start like meeting people and discovering things and everything just is a little bit creepier and a little bit creepier until there's just this like really big payoff for the creepy thing happening in the town. So good, so effective. If it's a Small Town Secrets book, like if the book blurb is pitched as like, they just moved to this town and something isn't quite right here, I'm all over it. I will absolutely, it will be an auto buy for me. Which brings us to evil cults. I have to say that these scare me. Like in Midsommar, I was really freaked out by the evil cults. And in other young adult books that I've read, I have been like satisfied when this has been the twist. Or like Ritual of Sacrifice, that's been a very satisfying twist. I can't say that this would be an auto buy for me. I honestly don't think it would be. If a book has it, I will enjoy it if it's done well. If it's like a Ritual Sacrifice thing, that really scares me and is effective when I'm reading horror. But if it's just like another cult that doesn't really have a lot of gore in it, then it doesn't scare me as much. So I think I'll have to say like maybe it's an enjoy it. It teeters between will still read it and enjoy it depending on how it's executed. I think I like it a step above Alien, so I'll keep it with enjoy it. The cults that freak me out in fiction are the ones where like it seems normal at the beginning and then it devolves and devolves and devolves and gets a little bit creepier as the book or movie or TV show progresses, and that there's one point where like the main character tries to leave but then they can't leave and they're trapped and there's just like this thing, I don't know, like that's the kind of cult fiction that I like. Which brings me to ghosts. If you have been a subscriber to my channel for a while, it will come as no surprise that I really love ghosts. I'm a sucker for ghosts. Literally, regardless of how the ghosts show up in the book, I will auto buy it. Like, I will read any ghost fiction ever. I think that there's a lot of potential to be really creative with ghost stuff and a lot of potential to get really, really scary with ghost stuff. So I dig it. Which brings me to Old Burial Ground, and I really dislike this trope. really particularly because a lot of the times it's an old Native American burial ground that causes like creepy stuff to happen, like in Pet Cemetery when like people or pets are buried above or in the old Indian burial ground, they come back from the dead. I don't like this. It makes me feel icky. I don't believe that it's an accurate or respectful way to depict Native American burial sites in fiction at all. I generally really despise when horror movies or books will take elements of an ancient culture and turn them creepy and use that as the source of horror just because it's different than the dominant belief system where the horror is being written. I think it's yucky. I think it's cheap. It's lazy. I don't like it. I am gonna put this in hate it, won't read. Strongly hate it. Will not read it. Unless it is like the old burial ground of a cult or something and it's within the world, that's a completely different thing. But if it's like an old Native American burial ground that turns people into zombies, I really, really don't like it. And more than that, I think it's deeply problematic and that we as authors should do better. Which brings me to bad things happening in the bathroom. This is a very specific trope that I see a lot in horror. Like, you know, the scene where the character is looking at themselves in the mirror and something comes up behind them in the mirror, or they are standing over the sink and the sink starts pouring blood into the room. There's a lot of scenes in horror that take place in bathrooms, and I find it so creepy. I love the bathroom trope. I love it when people will like come up behind you in the mirror. The jump scares get me every single time. I have to say love it. I'm not going to say like I will auto buy a book just because a scene happens in the bathroom, but I will enjoy it once that scene happens. Locked doors or trapped. I didn't really know what to call this one, but you know that point in the story where like it's maybe a supernatural story, there are ghosts or something, and then all of a sudden all of the doors lock and you can't get out of the house anymore? That is what I mean. I mean like for whatever reason, it is impossible, you're trapped, you can't escape, and you're trapped in an enclosed space with the supernatural threat. I find this extremely effective. As soon as this happens, I get a lot more scared of anything that's gonna happen after that. So I have to say that I probably love it because it increases the tension and the horror for me. Like if the ghosts were scary before, they're gonna be 10 times more scary if you are physically unable to get away from them. You know what I mean? Then there's ancient evil. I actually like this if it's executed well. I like ancient evil when it's an ancient evil that the author produces and comes up with on their own in the realm of their story, or something that's like based on something that happened in real life, not necessarily using other cultures if you are not yourself part of that culture and like casting a horror lens onto it. I really like it when authors will come up with original creepy like characters that are ancient and old and like only come out of the woodwork, you know, once every 25 years to devour 7 victims or something in order to like feed, or I don't know, like if they do something like that, I think it's really, really cool and interesting and original. I think there's a lot of potential for ancient evil, and I really love the horror trope where it's like every 25 years this happens, like in It. Stephen King does a great job of this in It, and I love that trope literally wherever I see it in horror. So I'm gonna put ancient evil as an enjoy it because it depends how it's depicted. Haunted houses. I really like haunted houses. I will not auto buy a haunted house book because a lot of haunted house tropes are depicted in a similar way over and over again, or like haunted house stories and ghost stories are all a little bit similar. So if it's a new twist on the haunted house, I will enjoy it, but I won't auto buy it. And I don't know if I even really love haunted houses. I think that I enjoy haunted houses. I will enjoy it if it's executed right. Or maybe it's also one that kind of teeters between will still read and enjoy it. Maybe I'll put this in actually in will still read. I'm not in love with haunted houses. Like I wouldn't really want to create a haunted house book, like the traditional haunted house book, like an old ancient manor where people go, a new family moves into the manor and there are ghosts. It would have to be a new fresh twist on that. And then there are witches. I think I have a controversial opinion about witches because I don't love witches in fiction. I did love Fear Street, like the movies Fear Street, and the entire like legend of Sarah Fear I thought was incredibly well done and interesting and original. So I think if it's like something like that, it's cool, but I think that also like tied into the ancient evil thing for me. So it wasn't like necessarily because of the witches, and it wasn't anything like to do with the Salem witch trial. Like books kind of like set the Salem witch trial era, I've never just really loved. For some reason, I'm just not drawn to them. So I wouldn't say that I hate it. I think depending on the execution, I would still read it, but I wouldn't write a book about witches. I might like write a book including a witch maybe one day, but you know, not about witches. I also would never write a book including vampires. I don't really like reading about vampires. They're not really scary to me in horror. I mean, this is like a super personal opinion, but I don't know. I wouldn't really read a vampire book. Like if I picked it up and I saw that vampires were on the back cover, I'm not going to continue reading it. I read the first Twilight book because it absolutely blew up like crazy, but I didn't love that book and I didn't read the entire series. Zombies have the potential to be interesting. I like zombies more than vampires. I don't hate zombie fiction. I think I'd say I'd still read zombie fiction, but I wouldn't love it. I definitely wouldn't. I mean, maybe I could enjoy it. It really depends on the execution. I think the two categories, like enjoy it and will still read, there's a lot of crossover between those depending on the execution. But Evil Circus, immediate auto buy for me. I love everything to do with circuses and how creepy they are, and like circuses with murder in them I think are so cool, or like acts gone wrong, circuses, like circus failures, anything with like weird creepy mysteries in sideshows. I'm all over that. I will automatically buy it. I don't know why this is so creepy. I think a lot of people find circuses creepy. And then when you add in the element that like maybe people's fear of the circus is justified, I think that maybe that's why people love it. But I don't know. I've always wanted to write a book about an evil circus. And I kind of incorporate an evil circus into They Stay, even though it's subtle in book 1 and it's a little bit more in book 2. But yeah, I really want to like dive into that more. I'm toying around with the idea of writing a prequel series set in like the old Evil Circus era, but you know, we'll see. And then there's creepy kids. I wouldn't auto buy a creepy kid book. I think like, and I also wouldn't say that I love creepy kids. I'd say that like I enjoy creepy kids when they're actually creepy and well done. Like if I'm actually creeped out by the kids, I think it's effective. Like little ghost children, I think are really kind of creepy when they are, you know, included in books in a creepy way. Yeah, or like little ghost twins, I think are a little bit creepy. I think kids, for whatever reason, have the potential to be a lot scarier than adults in a lot of like supernatural horror cases, which is why you see so many creepy kids. So yeah, I enjoy it. And then you have evil dolls, and I love a good evil doll story. I wouldn't say that I'd auto-buy an evil doll, but I think dolls are, I've always been creeped out by dolls, and I have a way that I'm incorporating evil dolls that's a little bit not on the nose an evil doll, but like it has a lot of doll imagery in this new supernatural thriller standalone that I am plotting and outlining and toying with the idea of writing. So I will say that it's not an auto buy for me, but that I do love a good evil doll story. And I stand by that, even though I won't watch Chucky because it's too scary. But I mean, this is the whole idea of this video, is what tropes work the most to scare you. And I think that that's what I am outlining in this video. Like, these are the ones that scare me the most. And your answers to this are going to be different than mine. So if you want to do this little tier ranking thing that I've created, I've put a link into the description of this video, and you know, go fill it out. Rank all of these tropes. Let me know in the comments if you disagree with any of my rankings. I'd be super interested in hearing what you have to say or what you think about any of these. People's opinions about subjects like this are incredibly subjective, so take this with a grain of salt, but I hope that this was like somewhat entertaining and maybe informative. But thank you so much for watching this video. As I mentioned at the start, my name is Claire Fraze, and I'm an award-winning young adult author who makes videos on this channel sharing the actionable writing tips that help to make my writing better. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel. I post videos once a week and do live streams now a couple times a month. I'm going to be doing more of these tier ranking videos. I already have created graphics for a thriller tier ranking video, as well as a common young adult trope tier ranking video. So I will be releasing those over the next couple of months. So, you know, stay tuned for those. I hope you have a great week, everyone. And as always, happy writing.